Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom, ACU crew. Chiefs targeted by the cartel, says the FBI. We're going to talk about it today. How's it going, Mike?
Dude, it's going. This is a crazy story. I know most people's probably heard this already, but Mahomes had his house burglarized. Travis Kelce also had his house burglarized.
It's weirder than you even thought.
Come to find out, check this out. The U.S. Sun actually comes out and says that they were able to confirm that they stole Travis Kelce's first Super Bowl jersey from his home, Steve. They got cash,
That
upwards
sucks,
of almost
bro.
$20K, and they stole his Super Bowl jersey from his first Super Bowl.
First of
That
all,
sucks.
Kelsey, what are you doing keeping 20K cash on hand, my man? I know you're rich, but damn, what are we doing?
The cartel will sniff out wads of cash. You better believe it. Steve, we can't even talk about the cartel too much, but the FBI is involved, and they think it is a South American crime ring. And Barbieri calls it somewhat of a cartel, which is insane. They actually robbed Bobby Portis, the NBA player. They think they're in connection with a bunch of things. This is wild that they were able to target the Chiefs. And look, a lot of people know that this has happened, but this is kind of breaking news in a way. Like, I did not know that they actually stole Travis Kelce's first Super Bowl jersey. That is insane.
Yeah. I mean, that to Travis Kelce, that's got to be more valuable than the 20K cash, right? And you know what's
Yes.
crazy? Just by coincidence, but last night, someone broke in my Chrysler 300 and
No.
ransacked the entire thing. They did. They got into it. I don't know why it was left unlocked, but I guess it was. And they ransacked the entire thing, pulled everything out of the glove box, the console. But the only thing that they stole out of it was a $2 bill. But do you think it was? Do you think it was the South American cartel?
The cartel. Steve, I was
Did
going to ask
Did I
this.
get hit by them?
Why did you have a $2 bill in your car?
I didn't. Taja did. It's like I don't know what it was, but she's like, that's the only thing missing. But like,
Well,
we don't
obviously
keep
they wanted
valuables in
some
the car.
money.
But yeah, right.
That was the valuable. Forget hot wire in the car and taking that.
There
We'll just
was a
take the $2
debit
bill.
card on the console that they left there.
They know they have to have the pin for that. They're
I
an
don't know.
organized crime ring. They
But
understand
hey,
this.
I'm just saying, I got hit too. So we're all a little frazzled, Chiefs Kingdom.
Daggone.
But it is what it is.
The world, man, right now, it's a wild place. Everybody out here. I wonder
But
how
I
these
guess,
guys how they setting up a South American crime ring in the United States. You'd think we had police or something like that.
like a border patrol. Anyway,
No,
so
we don't.
here's the thing about it. Do you really think that, like, a lot of people's equating this to the Chiefs' focus on the games? Like, I've seen in the comments a
Yeah,
lot
I've seen it.
in different conversations where people's like, well, Patrick Mahomes isn't playing his best and Kelsey's not really focused because they're worried about getting hit, getting robbed and stuff. And, like,
Yeah.
do you really think that correlates?
I think that's probably on their mind, but I think that they're professionals enough that when they get on the football field, all that goes away. Right? Like, we've been in situations where you've played the sport before, and then, like, once you're out there, it's not like you're playing quarterback and you're getting ready to throw the ball to a wide receiver, and you're like, man, my house got robbed 3 days ago. And then
Right.
you throw it 6 yards out of bounds. I don't think that's a thing. Like, is it on their mind? Yes, but I do not think it's affecting their football.
I don't either. I can't say that. I think that's just another excuse that people
I think
are
it's a
throwing
coping
around.
mechanism. Like, there's a lot of coping mechanisms going around, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We got Charles Goodman with us. He's going to be here in just a little bit,
Or
Steve. I'm
Charles
excited
Goldman.
to talk with him. Charles Goldman. Why did I say Goodman?
You do it all the time.
I think I meant to say, like, it's Goldman, but for some reason, I just think of,
He's a good man. Is that what you're
yeah,
thinking?
like, he's just a good man. I pronounce the L very softly.
I think you're just outright disrespectful is what I think.
I'm not disrespectful. I love Charles Goldman. But yeah, man, he writes a lot. He does some good stuff. We're going to have him in just a few minutes. We're going to talk to him a little bit about that because this has just been a fascinating year with Mahomes in general. And like I said, I went through and I found a bunch of stats going back to his first year. And we're going to look through those. And there's just a lot that even confuses you more than you would
Yeah.
think.
There's a lot to unwrap there. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it is. I'm excited to talk to him about it.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys being here this morning, by the way. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Get this out to more people. Get in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling about the Chiefs versus the Panthers this week. Do you want it to be a rout, or do you think it's going to be a close game because that's what the Chiefs do? Let us know what you're thinking with that. Also, if you're new to the channel, you can hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us more often. We got all kinds of Chiefs content all week long, all year long, baby. So hit that subscribe button. But yeah, Mike, Charles Goldman's coming in. We're gonna get a different perspective today. A guy that's been writing about the Chiefs for years now, and he just knows his stuff, man. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be real fun talking to him. He'll be here in just a little bit. But until he gets here, Steve, let's say hey to some of the people watching. We appreciate you tuning in on this fine Friday morning. We got Richie in the house. We got Ruben in the house.
It's Red
we got
Friday.
Brandon. We got Bam. It's Red Friday. I decided to pull out the UK hat
Mike
today. I don't know
never
why.
wears red on Red Friday. I've noticed that.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. If you wear red in Louisville an awful lot, they'll mistake you for a Louisville Cardinals fan. And that's something I can't have on a day-to-day basis.
It's okay, man.
But I'm usually wearing a Chiefs hat. Just this is just the closest one I had to me. So it is what it is.
You said I got to cover up these luscious locks for this live stream.
Yeah, I can't do it, man. But yeah, we appreciate you guys being here. I see Trav in the house said he's this is going to be him and his son's first NFL game. They're going to Charlotte to watch the game. So good to see that. We also got Greg in the house with a 2-bomb, baby. He says,
Greg.
hope we don't play like a junior high team this week.
I hope not.
Yeah, a lot of people are speculating that. Like, are we going to slump? Dude, you don't know how many people. I don't think they're actually Chiefs fans. I feel like it's the general public, the general Chiefs haters. They've actually come in and they've said, the Chiefs are going to lose 2 games in a row. They were exposed. The Panthers are going to beat them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't care if the Panthers know our entire playbook. We should still be able to beat them on sheer talent alone. And that's not being cocky. That's just called, you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. Come on, get it together.
My whole thing is I don't think the Panthers can score on our defense. So no matter how bad our offense plays, I still think we should win by quite a bit because I just don't think that our defense is going to let the Carolina Panthers put up a bunch of points. I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I appreciate the 2-bomb, Greg. Yuck FooTube. With a name like this, you'd think he's been censored by YouTube, and he thinks so. He says, I've been censored on other channels. Just want to know how far it's gone. We see you. We see you. You're here.
Join the club.
With a name like that, you're appreciated on this channel.
He's been around a while. He's been around a while, so.
Hey, we got Lewis in the house this morning, too. He says the defense is exhausted.
Dude,
Steve,
I do think there's something
the offense
to that.
Isn't helping the defense enough.
100%. I think there's something to that. But it's mid-season, a little over mid-season now. And normally we see the defense start to come into their own at this time of the year and really turn it on up until the end of the year in the playoffs. This year I'm hoping we get the same thing, especially with a little Kickstarter by getting Charles Goldman back, getting that pass rush a little more solid. Yeah. But I will say that I feel like this defense has had a lot on their shoulders so far this year. The offense has not showed up and put in their part. I will say that. So, I mean, is there something to what Lewis is saying? I think there is a little bit. But I think it's just – we'll see. The offense is going to have to start alleviating a little bit of pressure. They have to.
We've been a defensive team so far, and that's very weird and very odd thing to say. There is a lot of injuries. There's a lot of this, a lot of that. But we're going to get into a lot of this, and I think a lot of it squarely must fall. And a lot of people say it's not fair. But I think some of it's got to squarely fall on your $500 million all-world quarterback. Like, at some point, you've got to pick it up. You've got to get it together.
He's got a piece of it. He's got a piece of it. He's got a piece of it. Everybody's got a piece of it. Right. And that's
Steve,
the thing.
Before you get going, do you think any chance Pacheco plays this week? Any chance Omenihu plays this week?
I don't see it this week. I don't see the point. Unless they think it's a good game to bring them back in slowly and maybe give them a couple reps. But I'm just not seeing it. I think they sit out one more week, and then you see them again against the Raiders. It's not like the Raiders are world beaters. So, I mean, that would be a good game to bring them back as well. So I think this week, they've just now got back onto the practice field. I think they take one more week off from the games, get their feet under them a little bit, and then we'll see them in the Raiders game. That's my guess.
Steve, should we drive to Charlotte and watch this one?
No, I don't want to drive to Charlotte.
To watch this?
No.
It saddens me. It saddens me that you have such a great elite team, and you're like, I don't even want to go to Charlotte to watch this.
Well, I mean, Charlotte's not close.
I mean, it's within, 6 hours?
No.
It's got to be.
Absolutely not. It's probably a 10-hour drive, man.
You think Charlotte's further from us than Kansas City?
Yeah.
Wow, really? I don't know if that's true.
Well, you're gonna have to look it up because I
I'll
think
look
it
it up in a
is.
minute. That's a good. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I do know you have to drive through the mountains, and that's just not a fun drive.
No, it's terrible.
Yikes.
Richie says ESPN has Pacheco starting on fantasy football. I've seen a lot of that stuff.
I think Ian
where
Rappaport come out and said he was going to play this week, and he
he
said that on
might.
Monday.
He might.
I just don't buy it.
I
He's going to have
don't.
to play. He's going to have to practice in full today, right?
Yeah, I mean, either way, I just don't see him getting very much work. I mean, like I said, you could see them trickle both of them back in a little bit this week, but I don't see the point. I think they can wait another week and do that against the Raiders. Now, I know the next couple of games are pretty important. You got the Raiders and the Chargers back to back. You would like to win both of those, sure up the AFC West. So maybe they do try to get them back in and get their feet under them this week. I'm not for sure. Once again, I don't think that's a thing, but we'll see. And then after the Browns game, which the Browns didn't look terrible last night. Of course, it was a blizzard, and the
Did
Steelers.
you not have a
I
feeling?
think the Steelers are a little bit fraudish.
Yeah,
So,
they're a little fraudish. They played a tough game the other day. I'll give them that. But
yeah.
I kind of thought the Browns were going to win that game last night. I was big on the Browns last night. I thought they had a chance to win it, and they actually did win it. So I was right there, like in my own mind, you know.
Yeah, I didn't tell nobody about that, but
Well, I mean, I have no reason to talk about the Steelers and the Browns, but I'll tell you, the Steelers just do not scare me as a football team. You had George Pickens out there fighting with the fans after the game's over. This dude is insane.
dude, guy's nuts. He's a hell of a football player, but he's nuts
Why do people love Pickens so much when he's just flat out crazy sometimes?
because he's a good football player.
You think he's a good football player, but he's got one of the lowest separation numbers of all of football right now. Out of like 600 wide receivers, he's like in the bottom 10.
He's one of those guys that don't need it though. Just throw it to him.
Well, you think that would have worked here?
No, absolutely
Exactly.
not. Travis Troutman, we are in Louisville, Kentucky. So yeah, and then Rico says that he had to pick a load up in Mayfield, Kentucky. So not real far from us, not too close either. but
Mayfield.
You
Is
were in our neck
Mayfield
of the
like where the
woods.
golf course is that we would play with Pops every once in a while?
No,
Is it not? Why does it sound familiar?
I'm not sure. I'm not for sure.
Mayfield.
not for
Maysville.
sure.
I don't know.
No, but with the Browns though, Ruben makes a good point in the comment section. They have a good defense. The defense looked good last night, and then Nick Chubb kind of reappeared out of nowhere.
Knew it. Knew Nick Chubb was going to have a good day. With that weather, how was he not?
Yeah, I mean it was nice to see.
I thought
a
both
snowy
running backs were
football
going to
game.
have pretty good days.
Did you see like the big thing on Twitter last night where people were talking about how it's elements are terrible for football and football's terrible to watch in the elements, and I'm like, what have we become as a society?
Yeah,
When,
don't be
when
a
you don't even
chooch.
like a effing snow game, Mike.
Look, if you want to,
What the hell?
who doesn't want to watch football in the snow?
I don't want to watch it in the snow, but I want to watch it on TV.
Yeah, I want to
with the
watch a
snow.
snow globe of a game. Like, I mean, it's not like exciting. People want like greatest show on turf crap where they want like the score to be 98-97. It's like,
Yeah.
let's calm down a little bit. Have a little pride and some defense.
Let's do it. Well, we got a guest here. Mike, would you like to introduce our guest to the lovely ACU crew here?
I will. We got. I'm going to bring him in right now. We got AtoZ Sports contributor. We got the former managing editor at USA Today's Chiefs Wire, member of the Pro Football Writers of America, and he's even got a degree in anthropology. Bet most people didn't know that one. He's a forester. That's what he is. He's a forester. He's an overall Chiefs football knower too. Welcome, Charles Goldman, to the program, Stephen.
Hey, fellas. Thank you so much. It's been a long time coming. I know we've been trying to put this together for a hot minute, so I'm happy to be here.
We have lots of busyness going on. This has been a wild football season. Have you thought that this has been a wild football season? It seems like every week we're dealing with something like news on an injury, who's going to IR, who's Brett Veach bringing in, are we bringing in this, are we bringing it? It's been crazy, right?
For me, it's been flying by. Usually like this time of year, I'm really just like I'm getting burnt out because it's a long season.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about it for the players, but like it's a long season for the media members too. It takes a lot out of you. And usually at this point I'm like, I'm fizzling out, but I think, you know, I'm a little energized. I'm a little pumped up for this kind of last push here in the regular season. And see what these guys got for the postseason.
Hell yeah, man. I hope the Chiefs are on the same wavelength you are. Hopefully that's where they're at too.
I hope they're nice and awake for this game. I hope they got woken up a little bit. We had a story. We come off with a lead today of Kelsey, Mahomes, the whole robbery. The FBI is looking into it. They think it could be linked to a South American cartel. This is crazy. Have you heard anything around the team or anything where that is affecting anyone's game? That is a big topic right now, that these guys are not focused on football because their houses are being robbed by the cartel. Is there any fact to that, or do you think that they're professionals and they're not really worried about it?
Yeah, I don't think they're worried about that right now. I know for a fact that team security has been on this since it happened. They've been very on top of it, getting everyone, secured and safe, and making sure, this stuff doesn't happen again, because, it's clear that they are, being targeted in some way, whether it's cartel or whatever gets uncovered. That's about all the details I can really share. I've kind of kept tight-lipped on that because I know there's ongoing investigations and what have you. But I obviously, it's an awful thing, and you don't want anyone's property to be stolen or damaged or what have you. And for the most part, I don't think the team or any of the players feel like it's like a reflection on Kansas City, right, and the place they live and whatnot. They still feel very comfortable in the community and out and about. And as the report that came out from the league yesterday said, this is a wider scheme that's targeting all NFL players, NBA players as well, and that the FBI is looking into it. So hopefully, whatever happens, that these people will be brought to justice, and that this will be a thing in the past rather quickly.
You would think the FBI would rather spend their time looking into why Goodell in Vegas has scripted an entire 6 years of Chiefs football to just get all the calls and to win all the games. You would think that's where they would be on this, right?
You never know where these investigations might take them.
Right.
So.
This may open up a can of worms, get them sniffing around there. It's never going to happen.
Oh, Cartel Gate.
Yeah,
it's going to be the new one.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about Mahomes. The Chiefs to this point, we took our first loss. I don't think it was a big deal. I'm one of those people that think it got the undefeated monkey off your back. You already are getting targeted week in and week out, and everybody wanted to be the one to blow up the Chiefs and be the first savior of America, all the Chiefs haters, A lot of people are putting this on the offensive line. A lot of people are putting this on just Mahomes isn't playing well. Some people are putting it on receivers. They're putting it on Matt Nagy. You're seeing that a lot. I think there's a piece of the pie for everybody to go around. What's your opinion on this one today? Why is Mahomes struggling? Do you think Mahomes is even struggling?
I mean, as far as the recent loss is concerned, I think you kind of nailed it right on the head. I think everyone shares a piece of the pie on this one. When the defense was getting stops, the offense couldn't do anything right there in the third quarter. When the defense couldn't get stops, the offense was executing. It seemed kind of disjointed, right? They weren't playing well as a team. And I think just, on the defensive side of the ball, third down, that was the nail in the coffin for them this last week. They did not execute at all on third and long. In third and long, they were the Bills were probably more successful than any other down and distance.
Yes.
And you just can't have that. That's a surefire way to lose games. So, I think it's opened up opportunity for introspection for guys to look at the tape, to really hone in on what they can get better on certain, downs and distances, on certain types of play calls. But, the overarching struggles that they've had throughout the season, and you say struggles very loosely because, this is a 9-1 football team with the best record in the league. Right. But, they haven't been, this explosive offense that you're sometimes used to seeing. You didn't quite see it last year, but we have seen it in the past. The defense hasn't been quite as good as it was earlier in the season because of, I think, the Jalen Watson injury probably did a little bit more damage than people were expecting. And also their pass rush just hasn't been as potent as it has in the past in producing sacks. So, those two things happen, and, you're going to have to make up for it some way. right? And, efficiency, a strong running game, that's the way you make up for it on offense. On defense, creating turnovers is a way to kind of make up for some of that, or just getting pressure on the quarterback to where he's throwing the ball away if you can't get home for the sacks, right?
Right.
And that's kind of hard to do in games when you're playing against like a Josh Allen, because pressuring him forces him into situations where like he's good, right? Scrambling or, making a throw on the run, getting outside the pocket. You have to be very, very specific about how you game plan for those types of quarterbacks. And like the Chiefs have seen a lot of them this year so far. Lamar Jackson, Bo Nix, a lot of these guys that have the ability to like use their legs, right? And hurt you that way. And I think they need to get better against those types of quarterbacks if they're, going to make a deep playoff push this year.
Yeah, 100%, man. I know, Steve, you probably got the same questions I do, so I'm just going to ask. A lot of people are putting the offensive line in a category of just complete crap. Like, that's what they're saying. But it's just not adding up to date. We've got this new report that come out. They took 40% PFF, 40% of SIS blown block percentages, and ESPN pass block win rate here. And the Chiefs actually score the 6th best offensive line in football. Okay, I understand that we do have problems. You cannot say left tackle is not a problem. But I don't think it's as big of a glaring issue as people think it is. PFF also has us the number 6th ranked offensive line in football going into week 12. And they make a point that Joe Thuney is playing the best career football he's had this year. Creed Humphrey is the number 1 rated center. Trey Smith's had a pretty good year. Juwan Taylor, take the penalties out, and he's decent. But you've got several things showing that our offensive line is not as crazy. I've even got this. I want to bring this up and get your thing. I went through here and looked at this bad boy, and I've made a spreadsheet. And when Mike pulls out the spreadsheet, it gets wild. Okay, so in 2018, Patrick Mahomes, we all know that was his MVP season. He had 150 pressures, and he took 14 sacks that year. Okay, in 2020 or 2019, we won the Super Bowl at 124 pressures, 15 sacks. And then, of course, it goes down the list. I encourage people to take a screenshot, go through this. But it gets really confusing because this year, in 2024, we played 59% of our season, and we've given up 94 pressures, which puts us on pace to give up 159. That would literally be less pressures than 2023, 2022, and 2021, and we won the Super Bowl 2 of those 3 years. Okay, we're on pace to give up 18 sacks, which is the exact on par of 2023, 2022. So the offensive line, in my opinion, and let's not even look at the time to throw here. Time to throw, we're given 2.86 seconds. When Mahomes was at his peak in 2018, in that first year where he puts up just gaudy numbers, he's at 2.91. So that's a blink of an eye, 0.05. Like, what is that? Like, literally a snap of a finger. So, in my opinion, I feel like people are taking some of this out of context. Like, how much do you think it's the offensive line? And do you think it is that glaring of an issue? Or do you think Patrick Mahomes is just not escaping the pocket, not being magical as though he were in years past of evading some of these pressures and turning them into sacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the pressure, the low pressure numbers compared to other years can be attributed to the fact they're running the ball a ton more, right? Like, before Kareem Hunt got here, we weren't having games where guys were getting 30 carries a game. Yeah. So I do think that has something to do with it. I also think, there's an aspect of it that lies on the receivers, right? We're not with the group of receivers that we anticipated being with, when, the guys got to training camp. Hollywood Brown was going to be a huge piece of this offense, gone before the season even gets here. Rashee Rice, we saw, what he was doing before he got injured. So that really changed the way this offense is kind of set up and the way it looks. And suddenly you're talking about 2 guys that can create separation and can execute the offense, and you don't have those guys anymore. So now you're relying on a group that is not quite as reliable in that regard, and their ability to separate downfield. And I do think that some of that gets into Patrick Mahomes' head. And I do think some of it with the offensive tackle position, just not having a reliable and consistent situation there, going from those first 2 weeks with Kingsley to going to Wanye and having to adjust to that on the fly. Like there is like a mental aspect to it where, I mean, we've seen it a couple times this season where, you know, he doesn't necessarily step up in the pocket because he doesn't think he has time to, or he's looking to escape outside, which, you know, he's had a tendency to do at times throughout his career. But if your guys aren't creating separation, getting open down the field like they once were, it's a lot harder to make some of that Mahomes magic happen when you're looking to escape, get outside the pocket. And you know, there probably is more to it with when it comes to, you know, at Nagy and the scheme and the play calling and whatnot. They can probably do a better job on their end as well, setting Pat up for success, getting him into a rhythm with some easier throws or just a better run pass balance. I mean, Andy Reid said it after, you know, the Buffalo Bills game. He said, I probably could have called a few more run plays here and there because Kareem Hunt was, you know, ripping off 4.3 yards per carry on the day. And, you know, that's one way that you can help get a quarterback in rhythm when you mix and match some of the run game, get some play action in there. He also said that there are some things that he can do to kind of simplify things. Maybe there are too many motions. You know, there's certain plays where the blocking schemes, you know, called for you know, tight ends, guards, people pulling from one side to block on the other side just to throw a pass, when maybe it just makes more sense to, okay, let's just drop back and throw. Let's put a hat on a hat and go. So there are things they can do to kind of simplify to make it a little bit easier for their players to execute. On the other hand, you know, they have to then make sure that, okay, we're not too vanilla, that, you know, opponents are out there exploiting what we're doing. So again, I think it's a situation where there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle that are kind of contributing to the issue. And you know, we've seen it work itself out in the past. That's what you have to kind of hope is going to happen moving forward, that these guys are looking at the tape, that they're seeing it, that they're understanding, hey, this is what we have to fix if we're going to get better down the stretch.
Right. One more thing to just touch on what you said. You're talking about separation. The receivers aren't getting separation. They don't think they are. In 2019, Tyreek Hill led the team with 3.2 yards of separation per ESPN Next Gen. So Kelsey and D-Rob were second, tied at 3.1 yards per separation. Sammy Watkins was 2.9. This year, in 2024, Tyreek Hill was 3.2 in 2019. Xavier Worthy is wide receiver 9, 3.7 yards of separation. DeAndre Hopkins is 2.9, so he's right at what Sammy Watkins was back in 2019. Kelsey is 3.4 yards. That is more than Hill, what he was in 2019, more than what D-Rob was, more than what Watkins. So it feels like even though we're saying that they're not really getting a lot of separation, they are getting more separation than in 2019. And the odd outlier here that I found was in 2021, Mecole Hardman and Byron Pringle actually averaged 4.1 yards of separation, which is insane that those two, they were both top 10 in the NFL that year at 4.1 yards of separation. So do you think it's more just the quality of receiver? Is it the quality of play? Is it the scheme? Like it's sounding more like it's the scheme in a way, or just the fact that Mahomes is missing these guys, because we know, also according to Next Gen stats,
I think
he's not very aggressive down the field. It's just not. He's 35th of 39. That was his rookie year. This year, he's 40th of 40. 7.8 aggressiveness, which means he only takes 7% of his passes go to a receiver within 1 yard of a defender. So he just will not put the ball on places, and that's tough to do when you've got receivers like Kelsey getting older and D-Hop, right? D-Hop's never been known to separate.
I think it all can be attributed to trust, right? Like,
yeah,
Xavier Worthy, he's a rookie. You know, Pat has had some miscues with him so far this season. And I think it's not just about who Pat trusts. I think it's about who the coaching staff trusts, right? D-Hop is a guy who just got here. He's still learning. He's still picking up what they're trying to do. Even though he's a seasoned veteran, like there is a learning curve there in, you know, learning the playbook and, you know, figuring out what he's capable of. And, you know, then Pat has to be able to learn, okay, you know, this guy, this read, can I trust him to be open when my first or second read's not there, right? And, you dealing with that in the heat of the moment can be a little bit chaotic.
It's fascinating stuff. Like, if you could see this on the screen, this just popped up yesterday. Patrick Mahomes, the lowest in the league at throwing a deep ball, which is considered, I think, over 15, 20 yards.
Yep.
Just won't do it. And we heard all offseason that he was going to. Like, Andy in practice is making fun of him for not pressing, right? And I get there's a lot of injuries.
I think that's the trust thing. Again, I don't think the team trusts the deep passing game enough to be calling those plays consistently. I think what they trust right now,
it's wild because we have
seen the short passing game and the running game.
Right, it's very much short passing game. He's not throwing to the sticks very much. The thing about the deep passing game is Worthy. There seem to be a chemistry there. I know people are blaming Worthy for not getting his feet in, but there have been a lot of just wonky passes from Mahomes' end, and some of it's under pressure. I understand that. I think the majority of what we're trying to say is, isn't it just, it's fine sometimes to say, like, and I don't know what camp you're in. I don't know if you think Mahomes is playing great football and it's just everything around him is a problem, or if you just think Mahomes is actually just having a not so good year, which is completely fine. Brady went through it. Everybody,
I think he's certainly having a down year compared to what we've seen. Like, there's no doubt about that. The interception numbers say that alone, right? But I also have to keep perspective.
Right.
What I've been telling people is, like, go turn on some lowlights of the 2008 NFL season for the Chiefs and tell me that you wouldn't take Patrick Mahomes over that. I can
advocate on
I
that
can
one,
deal
though.
with I can deal with the deep misfires, right?
Devil's advocate on that is a lot of people saying, well, this is a $500 million quarterback.
Right, but he's also human, man. Like
That's
he's
true.
not going to be having an MVP season every year, right? It's just like it doesn't work that way. He still gives this team a better chance to win than
100%.
any quarterback out there.
You mentioned Kingsley in the offensive line. Like, check this one out. We found this yesterday. Kingsley Suamataia, the amount of quality and the amount he's left on an island. Why was it in the first 2 weeks when Kingsley was able to start, he was left on an island more than any left tackle in football? More than Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata, more than Tristan Wirfs. But yet when Wanye comes in, he's in the middle of the pack here with Tunsil, Rashawn Slater, Trent Williams. Like, it seems weird. It almost seems as if he was set up to fail.
No, I mean, I think the thing is, the people don't realize this, and I also didn't realize this. Having covered the league for many years, I had to be corrected by Mitch Schwartz a few years back. But like the schemes, blocking schemes in the NFL are interesting because it's not always determined by like what the weaker player is, right? You can't just always line up a tight end or a back to chip and help the left tackle. Like, that's just not going to happen. Sometimes it depends on what hash mark you're on. Sometimes it depends on what scheme, personnel, formation players you have on the field. Sometimes it depends on what the defense is presenting to you. They can actually scheme it up so they put certain players out on the field. They can scheme it up so you can't keep that extra blocker in there. So there's a lot of reasons why in those first weeks that Kingsley was left on an island. I think part of the difficulty aspect of that graphic with the blocking assignments is, like, he went up against Trey Hendrickson in his second game, and he's been just an absolute beast this year. So, I mean, that also has part to do with it. But yeah, I mean, could the Chiefs probably have helped him out a little bit more, not thrown him to the fire? Sure. The reason they kind of did that is because, one, they trusted him, right? And two, they want to give him every opportunity to earn that starting left tackle job, right? And those first 2 weeks were an opportunity that were presented because Wanye was still a little banged up dealing with that knee. And it turned out that Kingsley wasn't ready, and we've seen still moving forward that he's not ready. And some of it's not just from an aspect of going out there and just lining up and blocking the other guy, but just like even understanding the scheme and what they're trying to accomplish, like play for play. He needs more time in the playbook, getting that aspect of it down before you can even really put him out there and feel confident. So, and again, there's no shame in that. Like, every player in the NFL has a different timeline for, learning and understanding and whatnot. And, I have full confidence that they'll figure something out with Kingsley, and he can still be a really good player in this league. But no shame in admitting right now that that's not the case.
Right. Just something I wanted to touch on real quick is you were talking about trust being a big issue with the offense, and I'm right there with you. I think that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the most trust in the receiving core he's got right now, and obviously that's not something that just happens overnight either. But at the same time, you have a guy on your team now in D-Hop, and then you also have Travis Kelce. You know he trusts Kelce. We've seen that for years, but they're not utilizing him. Normally you can get a little pitch and catch to Kelce, target him a lot, kind of get in a rhythm, and that's how the Chiefs get off their feet on the offense. They've not been doing that this year, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But also he's got a guy now, DeAndre Hopkins. We've known throughout his entire career, if you just throw the ball in his vicinity, he's going to catch it. How long until Patrick Mahomes figures that out and throws more contested catches or more tight window throws? And do you think that can alleviate some of the other stuff that's going on in this offense, and maybe they can start clicking?
Yeah, I think he has figured that out already a little bit. I think that the people who need to figure it out probably are Andy and the coaching staff to just, maybe scheme up some more of those opportunities, or, figure out a way to make him more of a focal point in the offense. As far as the Kelce connections go, I mean, I know teams have been doing a lot early in the season. They were doubling him a lot. This last game, I don't know if it was so much just that they were doubling him, but they had a guy who was covering him like glue, whether it was a safety or even a linebacker. I know Terrell Bernard was doing a really good job there, which is rare to see. But you have to adjust schematically when you're dealing with the rigors of the NFL season, and find ways to make your quarterback comfortable, right? I think one of the things that has been a positive development is the connection that we're seeing with Noah Gray and Patrick. I mean, he's been one of the most reliable receivers, the most reliable receiver catching the football. Now he's getting hot in the red zone. I think that's a guy that can be really big for this team down the stretch, as they're looking for a different outlet. Maybe teams are focusing in, honing in, bracketing guys like Kelce, like D-Hop. You got to find a way to get the other guys involved. You got to get Cole involved. You got to find a way to hit some of these deep shots to Worthy. You got to find the secondary outlets in Noah Gray. So I think, it's one of those things that will come. It's hard. There's not a lot of practice time throughout the week where these guys can really get in and affect change in the offensive scheme. Like, there's very limited time. So this is something that has to happen over a couple weeks rather, than just a 1 week to the next. And then you have to account for the fact you're playing all these different teams, different players, different personnel. You have to spend time on learning those. So it's definitely a grind. I think that, we're going to see some improvements, but there's also going to be some tough moments in these next couple of weeks. They've got that one stretch where they play 3 games in the course of 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really that's going to be a really tough one in terms of preparation, getting ready to play some good teams. And I think we might see a little bit of resurgence of Patrick Mahomes in those games, because you might just simply have to rely on him going out there and making plays, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's when he's at his best.
Yeah. To your point, though, you were talking about they start bracketing D-Hop or Travis Kelce. They got people just glued to them. We saw that in the first drive of the Buffalo Bills game where they were doing that, and they used Xavier Worthy to absolutely beat the crap out of them down the field. And then the Chiefs just completely went away from that for the rest of the game. And you also mentioned the run game earlier and how that alleviates a lot of the pressure for the offense. And Andy only allowed Kareem Hunt to run the ball 14 times against Buffalo. So what do you think it is that the coaching staff just gets away from things that are working? Or do you think it was in-game adjustments from Buffalo? What do you think about that whole thing?
I feel like there were some in-game adjustments to the deep ball. They were playing some different back-end coverages, so the deep ball couldn't hit quite as well with Xavier. They did some good things to take that away, but there were opportunities there to get him more involved in the second half, and I don't think they did. And I don't know if it's okay, the last pass that we threw, you had a chance to toe tap it and you weren't able to, and we don't trust you to go back to it or feel like we're wasting it down. I don't know if that was the case, or if they simply just had some other stuff dialed up that they were looking at. But I do think for the run game, some of the reason they get away from it, especially in those tight games where they're trying to battle their way back into it, right, is because, okay, they've got this idea that like, hey, we have to get back into this game. How do we do that? We throw the ball, right? Like that's a pretty common theme throughout the NFL. So it could they have probably done more, figured out a way there. Yeah, I think they could have. I know that they had opportunities to win that game and that they feel like they had opportunities to win that game and they just let those kind of slide through. They didn't make the plays they needed to make, right?
Right.
That Xavier Worthy misfire, if you throw that a little bit differently, if you maybe see him a little bit sooner, if you're Pat, you get that off a little earlier, he catches that thing and he walks in for a touchdown, right?
Right.
Even if he just catches it and toe taps it at the sideline, sets you up in plus territory with an opportunity to go down the field and at least put 3 on the board.
You feel like he felt that he was so wide open, like he just lost track of where he was on the side. I feel like he felt he was closer to.
I think he
was on the side of the numbers, and the ball like drifted him almost completely out of bounds. So I feel like he just didn't.
I think Mahomes didn't have his feet on that throw. He threw off his back feet.
Yeah.
I feel like he felt like the pressure was maybe a little closer than it was, and that he didn't have room to step into the throw.
That was pretty similar to the one he missed him the week earlier, where I feel like the wind kind of took the ball out of bounds too. I don't feel like he was very set on that one either.
Yeah, and I think some of these deep plays. I mean, that's the risk you take, right? Especially that one had the kind of unique blocking scheme. I think they had a couple guys pulling. They had Kelsey blocking in there, and I feel like there was a little bit of hesitancy for him to like really step into the throw because he thought he was going to hit Kelsey right in his Achilles or something, right? But he's not going to say that. What he's going to say is like, I've got to hit those throws because he knows he does.
Right.
Like that was a big opportunity that they missed, and they're not taking a lot of them per game, right? They have to capitalize on those when they do take them. So it's unfortunate they missed that one, but I think that they're still working on getting that downfield connection going and the cues and signs to look for, and understanding the anticipatory part of it, right? Because right now that lack of trust is still there. And you can't throw with anticipation when you don't know that your guy's going to be in the right spot, right? So I think they'll get there. It's a matter of time.
I think you hit another good point, too, that Pat just didn't have his feet under him on a lot of these throws. But we've seen that a lot this year. But shouldn't that give Chiefs Kingdom confidence that things will get back right? Because throughout the years when Patrick struggles, it's usually because he's just drifted away from his basic mechanics. It's like he's just not getting his feet set. He's not doing the little things properly. And I think he knows that. He always mentions it in his post-game pressers and stuff. So, I mean, are we literally just Patrick Mahomes getting back to the basics, making sure his mechanics are good, away from this offense taking off?
I do think that fundamentals are a big part of it. They always are. I think it's routine whenever you go through a loss in the NFL that you go back and you kind of reset those things. So I think that'll be really just the basis for what we're seeing this week. A lot more throwing with anticipation, quick throws, getting your feet set, getting the ball out, just to get into that rhythm. And I think once that happens, that you're going to see a little bit of a change from Pat and the plays he's making. And if it happens this week against the Panthers, the narrative will be, oh, well, it's the Panthers. But I think that if you show that you can do it that week, it gives you confidence that you can do it every other week.
Right.
Like the Chicago game last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, we got a little bit of gifted subs coming in. I want to appreciate Peter Ortiz with the 5 gifted. Baby, we appreciate you, Peter, for growing the community. Appreciate you. I love the football banter. Look at us, guys. Just 3 guys talking Chiefs football. Look at us. Just having a good one.
Hey, real quick, Greg Goodwin had a 2-bomb here too, and he says, "Do you think Pat is hurt worse than he's saying?" Is there anything to that, Charles, that you've heard or anything
The
like
ankle?
that? Is the ankle bothering him
He-
more than anyone's talking about?
I think maybe those first 2 weeks it might have been a problem. Like I think he might have been a little hesitant to like step into some throws those first couple of weeks, but he's off the injury report this week, so I think that tells you that he's feeling a lot better and that it shouldn't be a problem moving forward. But yeah, I mean, we know that when he gets these ankle issues, that
Right.
he'll play through them because he's dirty tough like that. But
Right.
he's no one's ever 100% when they got an ankle injury, and really no one's ever 100% this time of year. Just all around in the NFL, the guys are playing through this, that, and the other thing. They, maybe they're not getting treatment on it because they're just they're at the point with it where it's like it's going to be what it's going to be. So man, the NFL is a grind. It's only getting to be more of a grind, and they're trying to add more games in the future here. So it's just hopefully they can figure out a way to kind of stop some of the wear and tear on these players.
Right, 100%. We appreciate you guys being here today, right before your lunch hour. We're at like 1,300. Everybody watching some good football talk. Man, it gets passionate back and forth. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. It's just a mutual love for the Chiefs, trying to get it going. It's fun to have the football banter, and we appreciate you, Charles, for being here, man. Like, we're about ready to let you go. We don't want to keep you all morning, and we appreciate you being here. You're the man. It's been a long time coming, but right before you go, we got to have one thing. What do you think the Chiefs' record's going to look like by the end of the season? How do you think they finish this up?
I think I predicted ahead of the season that they'd lose 3 games this year. I think 2 is probably the likelihood that they're going to lose 2 games. I think, one of these games during that stretch where they play
Texans, Steelers,
those
games.
It's going to be one of those because look, you're playing 2 playoff teams like in like 5 days. That's really, really tough. Hopefully some of the reinforcements that they're getting back pretty soon here, Isaiah Pacheco, Charles Omenihu, hopefully those guys can help provide a little bit of a boost, can be fresh legs, so to speak. Hey, thank you, Roberto.
Let's go, Roberto.
Roberto dropping the 2-bomb, baby.
Hey, and look, whatever the case is, this team has their eyes on the postseason. Whatever happens in the regular season, as soon as postseason gets here, whether they're the 1 seed, which would be ideal to give them a rest with that early bye week, or they're 2 or 3 seed, whatever it may be, their eyes are on getting right, getting everything perfected for the postseason. Everything else is gravy.
Right. Appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you being here. Round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, Steve, thank you guys for having me on.
Awesome. Respect the hell out of you, man. We use your stories here a lot. We talk about you. We respect your opinions. Glad to have you on here, man. You're welcome here anytime you want to. Would love to get you back sooner rather than later. Talk about the rest of this season, man. But we'll let you go. Let you have a good lunch, and hope you have a good day, brother.
Hey, anytime, fellas. You guys take care and just give me a shout anytime you want me on the show.
All right.
Awesome, man. Charles Goodman,
ya.
ladies and gents. Charles Goldman, our boy. There we go.
Nice.
Hey, man.
Nice chat there. I loved it.
Love it, man. It gets back and forth. And like I said, like bringing up different things, there's so much to bring up. It gets lost in 25 minutes, man, because you can talk about the offensive line. You can talk about the defensive line. You can talk about Spags. You can talk about Nagy. So much. You could talk to this dude for hours, man, and you couldn't get through it all. So it's tough trying to get it in there in 20 minutes. A lot of people think that, certain people, you're taking shots at Mahomes, you're defending him too much, don't bring up his money.
I just think that there's nothing off limits to talk about as a Chiefs fan. It's like we can talk about anything. It doesn't mean
the football discourse, man. And I love getting somebody like Charles Goodman or Charles Goldman. If I can call him Charles Goodman one more time, I swear I'm going to punch myself in the face.
I'm gonna punch
I know
you
his
for
freaking
you.
name, man. I don't know why. It's just like stuck. And you want to know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because I watched a John Goodman movie last night.
Is that what it is?
So now I just got that name in my head, bro. Tobias in here with a 10-bomb, ladies and
Go,
gents.
baby. What's up,
He
Tobias?
says, can we get a clean game out of Mahomes? Why are we getting a receiver instead of tackle help? Tobias, appreciate the 10-bomb, brother.
Let's go.
Yeah, Mahomes hasn't played solidly this year. We touched on that with Charles. There's a lot of factors here. It could be some play calling, could be some trust issues.
It's coming. I think it's fundamentals, a lot of it, just
Right.
getting his mechanics down. And I think he knows that too. It's always been the case when Mahomes starts struggling. He's got to get back to the basics, make sure his footwork's right. I think that's what it's going to take. And maybe this is a good game to get right. I mean, against the Panthers.
Yeah, same. And this is why we're getting receivers to tackle help. Look, there's not a lot of tackle help out there. I don't think they want to look at Bakhtiari. They don't think he's healthy. There is a new guy that's maybe being able to recover and get back. Would have loved to ask Charles about that one, but DJ Humphries played for the Cardinals. He's coming back off an ACL, and they think he might be ready to go. I kind of wonder if the Chiefs want to look down that avenue, but I don't think getting a receiver is exclusive and not getting tackle help. I think if they really believe it, they could still go out and do it, but
Yeah.
again, we proved with Goldman here that the Chiefs' offensive line is still rated top 10. They're still giving Mahomes time to throw. They're still doing everything. Of course, the run game's alleviating that a little bit, which is fine. You got to have that, man. Football's balance. It's ebb and flow. You got to find the right spot. And I don't think Andy found the right spot the other day against Buffalo. I think that he was going, and then somewhere it got off. And I think getting the Kareem Hunt situation, give him 10, 15 more carries, and I believe that football game goes a little differently. I really do.
Right. And if you're referring to the Tyquan Thornton thing, I think it's just the fact that it was a fast guy that has a lot of upside. That's a typical Brett Veach sign. It's just somebody put on the practice squad.
That's
I think it was just
next year
that
too.
was just an opportune. That was an opportunity there that they just didn't want to pass up. I mean, they got him for next to nothing, and a lot of teams wanted him, and he chose the Chiefs. So, I mean, I think it goes both ways a little bit. But just wanted to take a minute and say I appreciate all of y'all for being here this morning. Thanks for showing out for Mr. Charles Goldman of AtoZ Sports. That was a good talk. Do us a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already. Also, if you're new to the channel, if you could hit the subscribe button, hang out with us more often, that'd be awesome. Don't be afraid to get in the chat. Got a great group of people here. It's always a good time. But we're going to take a quick 30-second break. Check this out real quick, and we'll be right back. Christmas is right around the corner, and we've brought back the popular Merry Chiefsmas sweater and hoodie in the store. Just go to merch.allchiefedup.com and you can use the code ACUSANTA, that's ACUSANTA, and you can get 20% off of everything in the store until the end of the year. So get your hands on those and give some gifts to your family and friends. It's Christmas time, baby. I don't care. No one cares about Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter if Thanksgiving's next week. It's Christmas time.
Hey, you can like Christmas. You can look, put on your Christmas sweater, eat your turkey. Same thing.
Yeah, just celebrate it all at one time.
Shout out everybody in the chat, man. Like saying that was a fun interview, good show. We appreciate you guys, man. We try to bring something a little different here and there. And if we want to do these morning things, we're thinking about maybe trying to get more guests on like that, if that's something you guys like, because it gives a little bit of different perspective. You don't have to just hear Beavis and Butthead give you their thoughts
Slap
all the
nut
time,
one and slap
24/7.
nut two.
One slap and one nut over here. Okay. Good one with the two bomb. He says, players need to focus on football, not with TVs and movies. You know, that's something to be said, but at the same time, they were doing the same stuff last year and they won. So, right, Mahomes, even Andy Reid was getting in on the action. And Andy Reid might be the greatest actor of our generation, by the way.
He might be. He needs to.
When you go back and watch that performance he put in with the Nuggies, that was just top notch. And now he's
to have his own film.
Now
he's
like,
to be a lead actor.
Bondarooski. Like, you want to throw that one in? That's classic, you know. It's just
all about focus, right? They can do these types of things. It's just you have to be a professional. You have to know when it's time to focus on football. And I think the guys do that. And I think Travis Kelce, he'd probably be the one that you would want to refer to in this kind of a situation. I think that's been the most talk is Kelce's caught up in the TV, caught up in being a celebrity with Taylor Swift, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. And he hasn't performed like he normally does. But I think we'll see a lot of Kelce in the back half of this season. I think the intensity will come up. And I think, if anything, maybe they have been preserving Kelce just a bit. He's getting a little older, and
you know
they still want that playoff Kelce, you know?
You know how we can get Kelce back in the groove?
How's that?
This is going to get Kelce back in the groove. You ready?
They call me El Travidor.
We haven't had one of those in a while.
We haven't had an El Travidor in a while, and I think that's what he needs, man, because... You know, he struggled a little bit.
Roboito with the two bomb says, do you think D-Hop will contribute more the back half? I do. Like I was telling Charles earlier, I think it's just a matter of Patrick Mahomes getting a little more comfortable with having a guy of that caliber on the team and on the field, because normally he's always just relying on Travis Kelsey, but you have a guy out there that's as or more reliable than Kels. Like, just throw the ball somewhere in that guy's vicinity, he's going to make a play. I mean, we've seen it a few times already in the last 3 weeks. So I think it's just a matter of Mahomes getting comfortable, getting used to having a guy like that on the field, getting used to being able to make throws in tighter windows and contested throws. And I think if Mahomes just loosens up a little bit, and like I said, gets back to the basics, gets his mechanics right, I think he'll learn that real quick with Dion.
Right.
So it could be a bigger back half of the year for sure.
Steve, speaking of that, like, and I didn't get to run this by Charles either because this is just a long. But on the stuff I was looking at yesterday with Mahomes, man, in 2024 he is at minus 2.5 at average yards to the sticks, and what that means is they take passes and they want to see, are you throwing beyond the sticks, or are you throwing in front of them and letting your receivers try to do some work? Mahomes is dead last pretty much in 2024. He's minus 2.5 yards. That is the lowest number of his career, which means he is not trying to throw the ball. Do you realize Patrick Mahomes is only above these four people? This is it. This is all he's above in 2024 right now. Gardner Minshew, Spencer Rattler, Deshaun Watson. That's it. Right. That's how conservative he's being right now. His it's pretty crazy to think about that even last year he was 41st. He was only above Jake Browning, Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, and Trevor Siemian last year. So I don't know what's happened over the last few years, but Mahomes has really taken that take what your defense gives you to heart. I think he needs to lighten up a little bit and let his receivers work.
That was my whole rant on the last live stream, Mike.
Exactly. I think he just needs to stop thinking, get out of his head, and start slinging the
fun.
ball a little bit. Sling it a little bit.
Jedi says, damn, I love this team. What a great time to be a Chiefs fan. I'm enjoying the ride, guys. Don't stress. I think there's a lot to that. There's a lot going on this year. There's the team could be playing much, much better than they are, which is a good thing, sitting at 9-1. But yeah, I think it's like Charles mentioned earlier too. It's just a lot about perspective. I mean, you can look back at some older game tape from about 2008, and you have to be thankful for what's going on right now as a Chiefs fan, and just try to enjoy it for what it is. And I think everything's going to start rolling in the back half of this season, man. I think it's coming.
Did you find the most crazy thing that we talked with Goldman was the fact that he mentioned average yards per separation by a wide receiver? And I had just looked that up before he come on the show, and I hit him with the 4.1 average from Mecole Hardman and Byron Pringle. Did you ever think Byron Pringle and Mecole Hardman would be the highest rated? Like they beat Tyreek Hill in average yards per separation that season. How weird is that? To me,
people weren't as focused on those two.
And to be honest, I think it's scheme. It's how these players are being schemed open. And I believe that sometimes the scheme and the plays get a little stale, a little predictable. And because everybody knows at certain positions, when the Chiefs are going to run the ball out of the backfield, it's got to be second and long. They're taking that. Of course. They're running that ball. So it's just certain things. I think it just goes a long way, but I do think there's a little bit to the Nagy Bieniemy thing, but not as much as you would think, because even under Bieniemy looking through, we had some stinks. Okay. It wasn't that great with certain things. So I think we just got to take it with a grain of salt each week and just hope that everything comes together. And I fully believe it will. It's hard to doubt Mahomes. It's hard to doubt, Travis Kelsey and Big Red.
Right.
It's just really hard to do that. And I think at the end of the day, we just all have to, you enjoy the ride, but you talk football because it's fun.
Right. But you have to enjoy where we're at as a team too, at 9-1 with so much more to do. Yeah. I saw Danny Dimes got dropped while we were talking to Charles Goldman.
You know what that means? He might be QB1 now, the way Mahomes is playing. You might want to go get
No, but this team could be so much better than they are. I mean, we've seen more turnovers from Mahomes than usual. A lot of weird things going on. Way more injuries than usual. Like he mentioned, we're like a different offense than we thought we were going to be in the offseason. So we schemed up stuff for Hollywood Brown and everything else. So everything's kind of been on the move and trying to get it together. So to be 9-1 with all that going on, and the only loss you took was to Buffalo in Orchard Park, and it wasn't nearly. I mean, it was way closer than it looked. I mean, it was a 9-point game. It could have very well been a 1-point Chiefs win. So I mean, It's insane, man. Everybody should be pretty happy about where we're at, and I think things are going to start clicking. I really do. I have full faith that's going to happen.
Right. Peter with the 5 bomb, he said, what's the latest injury report? Who's coming back soon? They're going to drop that injury report here in probably like an hour. They'll probably have a presser here pretty soon. Let us know who's practicing. I would not expect Omenihu and Pacheco to come back this week. Now, they could, but I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't want to put them back on a short week and different things. I would just go ahead and let it ride out and then let them have the Friday game and give them a little bit of a long recovery week is what I would try to do. So we'll see that one.
That's
and then,
I like that too.
According to Hollywood Brown, he thinks he could get back early. They've still got him listed in January. I think nobody really knows where that one's going. I think everybody wants him to be back early, but I think the Chiefs just have to be smart with it. And I think they'll all decide and do the right thing. But I wouldn't hold my breath that he's back by Christmas. But if he was, hey, Merry Christmas to Chiefs Kingdom, right?
Yep. Shout out Brett Holloway with the gifted freaking membership. You're the man.
He did it twice.
Followed it up with another one. So
He's got 2.
Appreciate you,
Brett.
man. Thanks for helping grow the ACU crew. We'd love to get more members, by the way. So if you guys are not a member of the channel, you can go to join.allchiefedup.com. It'll take you right to the screen you need to be at. Or just hit the join button at the top if it's there for you. Some people it is, some people it's not. But it starts at just $4.99 a month. It helps the channel a big time. And also you'll be able to get into the members-only live streams, where last night we just gave away a signed Justin Ross jersey to one of those members. Shout out Shane Boring. He won that bad boy. But yeah, I mean, it's an easy way to support the channel. And we're trying to get to more members-onlys per month. We'd like to do 2, give away something twice a month, see the guys give back a little bit, but we got to grow that number. So if you haven't done that, go do that, man. It's a good way to support the channel.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for being here. We held 1,300 all day. That's awesome. I know that you guys don't want to talk. You want to talk about the Chiefs. You don't want to talk about work. You don't want to do work. And I appreciate that. This is for the slackers in life, baby.
Let's go.
This is what's happening.
What we're here for.
So you guys go have a good lunch. I think we're going to head out for today. We're going to get ready for that presser. And, if you don't hear from us, tomorrow we'll have a tailgate tomorrow night.
Of course, we're going to be doing the pregame, the tailgate to the Carolina Panthers game. And, of course, we'll be back post-game on Sunday. So keep your eye out for that. Come hang out with us. Have a good time. Appreciate you, Chiefs Kingdom. We'll see you then.
Yeah, have a good one. Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.